What's up everyone, this is Sean, your physical therapy application coach. In this video, I'll be referencing some worksheets that you can use to help make your application process as simple and efficient as possible. To get access to these free worksheets and receive my monthly newsletter, bonus, pause the video and click on the link in the description down below. It will take you to my website where you can sign up to join my email list. Also, if you find the information in my videos to be valuable, go ahead and click on that subscribe button so you can keep up to date when I post new content. Now, let me get out of your way so you can enjoy the video. So where are you going to get all these hours? If you're following along from starting out, we addressed principles in the networking video that are going to apply directly to this. Okay, so you need to start with your family and friends, your closest circle of influence, and say, do any of these people know of a place I could go shadow? Do I have a primary source where I can get the bulk of my hours? Now, pre-PT club is going to be probably your next best bet because they're going to be your peers. They're a pretty close circle of influence. I would say the pre-PT club is good because you have a lot of people who may or may not have varying interests, and you can go in and have a network of individuals where if you have a social media, if they have a Facebook group or something like that, you can throw out a post and say, hey, does anyone know of any pediatric settings or any neuro settings that I could go shadow in? You might immediately get 3 or 4 different responses without doing very much on your own part. So getting involved in a club, especially a pre-PT club, is going to help you out. With this said, once you find a place that's really good, be nice and pay it forward. And if someone asks you about a good place to go shadow that you have resources to, share that with other people. I know it's hard because you want to be competitive, you want to look unique, but at the end of the day, these are future colleagues and you want to have a good relationship, and don't be selfish with the good opportunities that someone may have provided you. Okay, teachers and counselors. So these people may very well have connections with clinicians. They may even be clinicians. And at our school, we had one professor who worked at a pro bono clinic that always needed students to come in and to shadow and to actually help them run the clinic. So you got a lot of hands-on experience and you're working with an underserved population. So it looked great, and students could get a lot of hours pretty quickly without having a lot of training or things like that. So you have to start looking into these different channels to ask, do you know of any places I could go shadow? And then the last option that you want to have is cold calling. Getting on the internet, calling up secretaries, asking them, can I come shadow? Do you have any openings for techs? Things like that. This is probably the least effective option, but hey, it's still, if you burn all your bridges, or if you can't find a setting that you're really, really interested in, you also need to do your homework. I will say that a lot of hospital settings require you to do paperwork and to have shots and to be current in all your vaccinations and things like that, which is totally understandable because it's a liability for them to bring in outsiders who they don't know if you've been immunized or not. Getting into these settings is going to set you apart because they are more challenging to get into, and a lot of people oftentimes overlook that and just stick with the general outpatient ortho because it's easier. This is going to help you learn more about PT, learn more about what we can do in different settings, and it'll help you figure out if this is something you're interested in. It'll also show that you're even more committed as an applicant. Okay, so logging your hours. This is crucial because you can't just go and say, well, I think I went about 100 hours to this place and 100 hours to this place. Maybe you can do that, but a lot of times clinicians are going to ask you, can you provide evidence that you've been here this long? If it's an employer, that's pretty easy because they know you. But if it's somebody that hasn't seen you, then they might not believe you. And you have to get all of your observation hours verified by a physical therapist who oversaw you, ideally. So you need to make sure that you have these documented, because you don't want to do all this work and then lo and behold, whoops, I don't have any record of it. So I have made a log for you if you would like to use it. It's the attachment, the observation hours workbook, and I'm going to have a walkthrough at the end of this video to show you how to use it. I hope it'll be useful for you guys. I've run through all the Excel formulas and set up the table so it looks real nice, and it'll give you an opportunity to quickly log your hours. Okay, so here are our calls to action. So number 1 is setting your shadowing or observation hour target. And then on top of that, break down how you are going to reach that target. Second, nail down some places to start shadowing if you don't already have some consistent places to go. Remember, 4 different settings, 6 different patient populations. Don't just go to 4 different outpatient ortho settings. Start shadowing and log your hours is the next action item. So again, you can use my log, you can use your own if you have a different setup that you would like to use. And the last one, not as important, but still valuable for you. Answer the questions on the application timeline questionnaire that we've covered so far. See how many of those you can answer. It'll kind of give you a 30,000 foot view of what you need to get done, and it'll help you kind of evaluate where you're at. So if you want to stay on, we're going to jump over and look at the Excel workbook that I've made for you. If you guys are if you already have a system for logging your hours, that's totally fine. But we'll go ahead and jump on over to that. And if not, we'll see you at the next video. Alrighty guys, so this right here is our observation hours workbook that I've put together for you. Pretty straightforward. You have the facility, date, hours, the PT you worked with, the setting, the patient population, and any notes or observations. The reason for all of these columns is it's going to help you when you log into PTCast and you're inputting all your information. This is just going to streamline that process and make it a lot more effective for you. And you can see I've got our 4 facilities listed here. So that works out good. Now, this next one kind of ties into your shadowing experience and if you have notes or observations. As you prepare to write your essays and you prepare for interview questions, you're going to want to focus a lot of your answers and responses to actual real-life experiences that you have with patients. And the way that you can do that is by recording these experiences in a log like this one. So there's a bunch of different questions that just have you do some self-examination. You can put whatever you want to on this form, but I just gave you some of these to kind of jumpstart your thinking. Now, patient name, I want to draw some attention to this because we don't want you to have any HIPAA violations. So instead of listing the person's first and last name, the hospital, the PT you worked with, the clinic you were at, just put the patient's first name. Or you can make it a more ambiguous identifier and just say Mr. Z or Mrs. X. You don't have to have anything fancy. But the reason for that is you don't want to have a HIPAA violation and be breaking the law and revealing that person's medical information. So there's a preface there. This last column here, what PT core values or personal attributes were demonstrated with this experience? We're going to go to this APTA core values tab, and this has the APTA core values that they want the profession to focus on. So these are accountability, altruism, compassion and caring, excellence, integrity, professional duty, and social responsibility. I'm not going to go through and read each of the indicators, but these indicators are, you can kind of gauge, well, this is what I did with this patient, and you can determine, based on the indicator, this kind of matches up with altruism. So then you'll go back to your patient experience log and you'll write altruism. And this will help you because a lot of the essays will say, share an experience with me about how you treated a patient altruistically, or talk to me about how you've shown accountability, or how you've shown your professional duty, things like that. And this will quickly give you a way to have a mental memory bank and a physical bank of these different experiences that you can draw from. This will be crucial for, again, interviews and essays. So that's basically the gist of all this stuff. I hope you guys enjoy it. It's something that I wished I would have had when I was going through my shadowing experiences, because when the time came for me to actually remember those, I forgot a lot of experiences I wanted to share, and I just had to focus on my most recent ones. So hope this is helpful, and best of luck.